neighborhood-based citywide youth movement. One way to make clear the nature of the system and our tasks working off of separate struggles is to tie them together with each other, to show that we're one multi-issue movement, not an alliance of high school and college students, or students and GIs, or youth and workers, or students and the black community. The way to do this is to build organic regional or sub-regional and citywide movements by regularly bringing people in one institution or area to fights going on other fronts. This works on two levels. Within a neighborhood, by bringing kids to different fights and relating these fights to each other, high school stuff, colleges, housing, welfare, shops, we begin to build one neighborhood-based multi-issue movement off of them. Besides actions and demonstrations, we also pull different people together in day-to-day film showings, rallies for speakers and study groups, etc. On a second level, we combine neighborhood bases into a citywide or a region-wide movement by doing the same kind of thing, concentrating our forces at whatever important struggles are going on and building more ongoing interrelationships off of that. The importance of specifically neighborhood-based organizing is illustrated by our greatest failing in RYM practice so far, high school organizing. In most cities, we don't know the kids who have been tearing up and burning down the schools. Our approach has been elitist, relating to often baseless citywide groups by bringing them our line or picking up kids with a false understanding of politics rather than those whose practice demonstrates their concrete anti-imperialist consciousness that schools are prisons. We've been unwilling to work continuously with high school kids as we did in building up college chapters. We will only reach the high school kids who are in motion by being in the schoolyards, hangouts on the streets, and on everyday basis. From a neighborhood base, high school kids could be effectively tied into struggles around other institutions and issues, and to the anti-imperialist movement as a whole. We will try to involve neighborhood kids who aren't in high schools too. Take them to anti-war or anti-racism fights, stuff in the schools, etc. And at the same time reach out more broadly through newspapers, films, storefronts. Activists and cadres who are recruited in this work will help expand and deepen the movement in new neighborhoods and high schools. Mostly, we will still be tied into the college-based movement in the same area, be influencing its direction away from campus-oriented provincialism, be recruiting high school kids into it where it is real enough and be recruiting organizers out of it. In its most developed form, this neighborhood-based movement would be a kind of sub-region. In places where the movement wasn't so strong, this would be an important form for being close to kids in a day-to-day way, and yet be relating heavily to a lot of issues and political fronts which the same kids are involved with. The second level is combining these neighborhoods into citywide and regional movements. This would mean doing the same thing, bringing people to other fights going on, only on a larger scale, relating to various blow-ups and regional mobilizations. An example is how a lot of people from different places went to San Francisco State, the Richmond oil strike, and now Berkeley. The existence of this kind of cross-motion makes ongoing organizing in other places go faster and stronger, first by creating a pervasive politicization, and second by relating everything to the most militant and advanced struggles going on so that they influence and set the pace for a lot more people. Further, cities are a basic unit of organization of the whole society in a way that neighborhoods aren't. For example, one front where we should be doing stuff is the courts. They are mostly organized citywide, not by smaller areas. The same for the city government itself. Schools where kids go are in different neighborhoods from where they live, especially colleges. The same for hospitals people go to and where they work. As a practical question of staying with people we pick up, the need for a citywide or area-wide kind of orientation is already felt in our movement. Another failure of this year was making clear that the RYM meant for chapter members and students who weren't organizers about to leave their campus for a community college, high school, GI organizing, shops, or neighborhoods. One thing it means for them is relating heavily to off-campus activities and struggles as part of the citywide motion. Not leaving the campus movement like people did for ERAP, Education, Research, Action, Protection stuff. Rather, people still organized on the campus of off-campus struggles, the way they have in the past for national actions. Like the national actions, the citywide ones will build the on-campus movement, not compete with it. Because the movement will be defining itself in relation to many issues and groups, not just schools, and the war and racism as they hit at the schools, it will create a political context that non-students can relate to better and be more useful to organizing among high school students, neighborhood kids, the mass of people. In the process, it will change the consciousness of the students too. If the issues are right and the movement fights them, people will develop a commitment to the struggle as a whole and an understanding of the need to be a revolutionaries rather than a student movement. Building a revolutionary youth movement will depend on organizing in a lot of places where we haven't been, and just tying the student movement to other issues and struggles isn't a substitute for that. But given our limited resources, we must also lead the on-campus motion into a RYM direction, and we can make great gains towards citywide youth movements by doing it. 3 principles underlie this multi-issue, cross-institutional movement on the neighborhood and citywide levels as to why it creates greater revolutionary consciousness and active participation in the revolution. 1. Mixing different issues, struggles, and groups demonstrates our analysis to people in a material way. We claim there is one system, and so all these different problems have the same solution, revolution. If they are the same struggle in the end, we should make that clear from the beginning. On this basis, we must aggressively smash the notion that there can be outside agitators on a question pertaining to the imperialists. 2. Relating to motion. The struggle activity, the action of the movement demonstrates our existence and strength to people in a material way. Seeing it happen, people give it more weight in their thinking. For the participants' involvement in struggle is the best education about the movement, the enemy, and the class struggle. In a neighborhood or whole city, the existence of some struggle is a catalyst for other struggles. It pushes people to see the movement as more important and urgent, and as an example and precedent makes it easier for them to follow. If the participants in a struggle are based in different institutions or parts of the city, these effects are multiplied. Varied participation helps the movement be seen as politically wholly subversive, rather than as separate grievance fights. As people in one section of the movement fight beside and identify closer with other sections, the mutual catalytic effect of their struggles will be greater. 3. We must build a movement oriented toward people, power. Revolution is a power struggle, and we must develop that understanding among people from the beginning. Pooling our resources area-wide and city-wide really does increase our power in particular fights, as well as push a mutual aid and struggle consciousness.